Hello and welcome to the first in my new series of Truth Talks titled Telling It Like It Is. In my previous 62 episodes or series of talks on YouTube, it was in order to make certain that the words I wrote in my 2 volumes of Slow Down and Love were not misconstrued or misinterpreted or redefined by others in the future, saying, well, this is what he really meant. No, this is what he really meant. By compiling those 62 scripted versions, I made certain that I was able to exactly explain what I was intending to do in the 2 books, Self-Enlightenment and Freedom. Now I'm beginning a new series because there's an important election coming on and everyone's torn by all the media and all the hype and all the talking heads who are trying to press their opinion down your throat instead of you making an informed, conscious, do the right thing choice. Most of us, as I've explained since the moment of our birth, are programmed by our family, our religion, our education, our community, our friends, and as we grow and experience, we even become more conditioned by those things we accept or disapprove and taking that into our belief system. Now, with all the advertisements going on and all the ads, it's difficult for anyone to make an informed decision, but most of the times we are being bombarded by biased, prejudiced opinions by the talking heads or the pundits that champion their version or their candidate, and they give you all the good salient points that try to get you and persuade you to their point of view. In my series of going forward and telling it like it is, I am trying to give you the earthly, down-to-earth, common folk, people pundits view. Those of us that are trying to bypass the Congress and the senators that we've elected, who no longer represent the true middle class or the true silent majority or the true people that are hurting and are tired of watching the America that they love swirl around the drain and gradually go down it because of political correctness, because of selfish points of view, because of professional politicians who say and do anything they have to get elected. Now, you know this is the truth because we've seen it over and over and over again the last 60 years as the politicians have become a profession. They have become a institution unto themselves. Washington, D.C. has become a self-contained bubble where all those that enter in become brainwashed and programmed to believe like those previous. Now, with this election coming up, I lean a little conservative. I always have been. I have been a little more traditional. I had a Midwestern upbringing in Ohio. I was a history major at the University of Virginia, and I made a ton of bad decisions, which I cover in my book and I cover in my previous Truth Talks, and I don't want to take up time right now. We'll get into those later on. What I'm trying to do is get you to look down inside and understand why I lean towards Donald Trump, other than it's a gut feeling. And also the fact that he is saying the things I like to hear. He's talking about safety. He's talking about security. He's talking about energy. He's talking about bringing jobs back to America. He's talking about protecting our borders. And any of you out there who don't think that this great, huge rush of immigrants isn't hurting us just has to stop a second and look at how much they're draining from the coffers of the taxpayer. 80% of them coming here are drawing food stamps and welfare and benefits that should be going to the, as Donald Trump says, to our vets who are really neglected. And I need to take a moment and thank those guys because those men and women have given us the right to be stupid and foolish and make all the bad decisions that we have made. But now we are at the most crucial point in our history. Donald Trump wants to make America great again. I agree with that. I know that he might not come across with the best words. He may seem brash and arrogant, and as many say, narcissistic. But you have to realize that the heads of all the news media are biased and prejudiced, and the directors and the owners and the producers filter their selfish or self-centered points of view down to the commentators and reporters. I know this for a fact. I cover it in great detail in my books and in my previous talks, because all of us from the moment we're born develop a certain bias or profiling. I know people don't like to use that, especially the liberals, because they deny that it's a fact, but it is a true fact. We profile our mother, we profile our father, we profile our parents, we profile our relatives, our neighbors. We select them based on a collected point of view. Now, people go about and it's easy to point the finger and say, oh, you're a racist. No, most people are just biased and prejudiced and self-centered and look at everything from a self-preservation point of view. Those people that are out there touting, oh, Black Lives Matter, that's one of the most selfish, self-centered points of view in existence. All lives matter. Anyone who doesn't believe that is a fool. I can't think of another word. I don't want to use the word stupid. I just think they're foolishly, unconsciously, narrow-minded and biased to the point where they don't see that all lives really do matter. Every person walking the earth and those that are still unborn are precious and could be the answer to the future. It could solve many of the problems. And all those little tiny decisions that we make are important. Just imagine if Mike Ditka had decided to run for senator, Barack Obama would never be in the history books because he wouldn't have been elected to the Senate, and he sure as heck wouldn't have been elected president. So the small decisions in our lives do matter. There is a dark side and a bright side of life. There's a positive, there's a negative, there's an evil, and there's an enlightened point of view. I have been trying in my previous talks to get you to begin seeking that inner you, that person that is you, the unique, one-of-a-kind person that you potentially are. I want you to break ties with the conditioning and the programming and the brainwashing that you do go through. Just stop and think of how right now at this moment in time you look at things. I want you to get to understand that everything that has happened in your life, in our country, and in the world in general has happened because of whatever previous decisions we've made, good or bad. My book, I try to get you to do the right thing. My dedication is to those who want to do the right thing. My last sentence in the book is just enjoy doing the right thing. And I know that's difficult, because what is the right thing? If you're in it for self-preservation, you're going to make the selfish decisions that's best for you and yours. And if you get conditioned to that way of thinking, you will be doing the wrong thing at certain times. But if you practice the golden rule, which Jesus said, forget all those things that you've learned in the past, put aside all those previous religions and doctrines and philosophies, and just remember this one thing: love the Creator, love yourself, and love all others as you would want loved, or do unto others as you would have do unto you. If you can learn and digest and process that meaning to its essential or to its essence, then you will begin to do the right thing. As I was saying, Donald Trump is saying the right things. Hopefully he will continue to do the right things, and hopefully America will force him by staying on top of him and getting him to understand that all you have to do is be honest, kind, and truthful. Now, Marco Rubio is a good guy. He's a smooth-talking, well-polished individual. Hopefully he just isn't another version of Barack Obama, because Barack Obama became president by being that smooth-talking, slick-talking, silver-tongued person who is a great example of what I'm talking about, being conditioned and biased by your upbringing. We all know that he was under the influence of socialist-leaning mentors. We all know that he spent his early life in under the influence of the Islamic religion, and consequently, in his heart and maybe unconsciously in his mind, he holds a favorable spot for them, and he probably doesn't realize, like all of us who view his decisions, that he is biased and prejudiced in many of the things he's done. We see it in his refusal to call the terrorists what they are, radical Islamic terrorists, who have been programmed, conditioned, and brainwashed from the moment they're born. They're thrown into an environment where they're taught to hate and kill anyone that doesn't believe or think like them. This is totally opposite of our Western views, and that's the reason there's such a conflict going on at this point in time. We need to be better than them. We need to defeat this philosophy, because it isn't a religion. No God would condone the evil things they do, the stepping on babies, the chopping off of Christian heads, and infidels that they don't think agree with them. And the Christians are abused in every aspect of this situation. And to allow them to come into this country, I do not want to take the chance of just one radical terrorist getting through and being, by random chance, standing next to one of my friends or my relatives or my grandchildren or even me and get blown up or shot. And it's a possibility. It happens. It has happened. There have been 28,000 terrorist attacks since 9/11. Not one Christian attack, not one person under the banner of Jesus doing the wrong thing. Jesus teaches you to do the right thing. Maybe Muhammad was hoping that those that followed him would do the right thing, but his philosophy has been usurped and rewritten and twisted to fit the countless sects of the Muslim religion. And Jesus' word has been manipulated to where there's over 41,000 Christian denominations, all battling over their view as being the proper one, when he said, do nothing else but the golden rule. Now, I'm hoping that you'll understand that, like I said, I am a little biased towards Donald Trump, because he is a proven executive. He has made mistakes. He has admitted those mistakes. Marco Rubio has made mistakes, but he's a politician and he tries to cover them up and say, well, I really meant this, and now I mean that. And as to Ted Cruz, I'm sure he is a kind-hearted, devoted family member and a strict conservative. However, my self-enlightenment taught me, or helped me to see, that people's facial expressions sometimes hide or actually mask their inner soul. He is expressionless. His eyes don't show the love he claims. His smile is not there, and it comes across as a automatron. His voice, his speech. He's a proven debater, and I don't hold that against him, because I would hope that we do get back to the stricter interpretation of the Constitution. But I don't trust politicians anymore. He and Rubio have both been planning for years to try and run for president. I like Christie. I like all the Republicans, any of them. Miss Fiorina would be a better choice than any of the Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton. Neither one of them are attached to anything in reality. So, as I said, I'm going to try and do this on a weekly basis. I'm going to try and tell it like it is, from a point of view that is in the trenches, is in the common folk vein, hopefully representing the people that I feel that I'm closer to than politicians. And I hope you join me and keep an eye out for my announcements, and maybe subscribe to these things and pass it on to your friends to get involved in these discussions, because I'm going to try and open up your mind and your heart to the real truth. Because, as I said in the book and in my discussions, believe none of what you hear, half of what you see, and the real truth is what you feel. And a lot of us feel this truth based on programming and conditioning. I'm going to try and deprogram you and get you to realize that George Orwell said the media can get you to think anything they want. And I think so many of you out there are doing that right now. So begin your search for your own personal truth. I will try and help you by pointing out my mistakes. And in the future, maybe our choices will bring to fruition a better place for all mankind. And until we meet again, thank you and Godspeed.